The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest room Yuna had ever seen. It stretched so far that she could not see the walls on the other side. Thousands of seats rose up like a mountain, and in each seat sat a creature from a different world. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had skin that changed colors like water under sunlight. And all of them were looking at the small group of humans standing in the center of the floor. Yuna took a deep breath. She was only 32 years old, but she was the chosen ambassador for Earth. Her government had picked her because she was calm under pressure. She never got angry. She never showed fear. And right now, she needed both of those skills. Next to her stood her assistant, a young man named Junho. He was 28 and very smart, but this was his first time seeing so many aliens in one place. His hands were shaking, but he tried to hide it by holding his tablet very tightly. "There are so many of them," Junho whispered. "I know," Yuna said quietly. "Just breathe. We prepared for this." The Galactic Council had existed for 10,000 years. It included over 300 species from across the galaxy. Humans had only discovered that aliens existed 5 years ago, when a trading ship had landed in the Pacific Ocean by mistake. Since then, humanity had been trying to join the Council. Today was the final test. A loud sound echoed through the hall. It was like a horn, but deeper and longer. The noise made Yuna's chest vibrate. She knew this meant the session was starting. From the highest seat in the room, a figure stood up. This was the council speaker, a tall creature with gray skin and 6 arms. His name was Delegate Voss, and he was from a species called the Renari. The Renari were known for 2 things: their intelligence and their belief that they were always right. Voss looked down at the humans with eyes that had no pupils, just solid black orbs that reflected the light. "Humans of Earth," Voss said. His voice was translated through a small device in Yuna's ear. "You come before this council seeking membership. You wish to trade with us. You wish to travel among the stars. You wish to be called equals." Yuna nodded. "That is correct, Delegate Voss. Then you must first understand the laws that govern all civilized species," Voss continued. "These are not laws that we created. These are laws of nature, laws of biology, laws that every species in this galaxy follows, whether they want to or not." Junho leaned closer to Yuna. "What is he talking about?" "I do not know yet," Yuna admitted, "but I have a feeling we are about to find out." Voss raised one of his 6 arms and pressed a button on his chair. A massive holographic screen appeared in the center of the room. It showed images of different alien species. Some were hunting, some were running, some were hiding in caves or trees. "The first and most important law is this," Voss announced. "In every ecosystem, on every planet, there are 2 types of creatures: predators and prey. This is the foundation of all life." The images changed. Now they showed predators catching their prey, teeth and claws, blood and fear. The hall was silent as everyone watched. "Predators are strong," Voss said. "They are fast. They are smart. They hunt because that is what they were born to do. And prey? Prey exists to be hunted. That is their purpose. That is their place in the universe." Yuna felt her stomach tighten. She did not like where this was going. "Now," Voss continued, "as species become civilized, they change. Predator species learn to control their hunting instincts. Prey species learn to build walls and weapons. But one thing never changes. One truth remains constant across all 300 species in this council." He paused for dramatic effect. Every eye in the room was on him. "Predators never adopt prey," Voss declared, "and prey never trust predators." The hall erupted in sounds of agreement. Clicking, humming, growling, whistling. Each species had its own way of saying yes. And right now, they were all saying yes. Junho looked at his tablet. "Ambassador, I am recording all of this. Should I take notes?" "Yes," Yuna said. "Take very detailed notes. I think we are going to need them." Voss waited for the noise to die down before he spoke again. This is not just a suggestion. Humans. This is biology. This is evolution. This is the way the universe works. A predator species may form alliances with other predators. A prey species may form alliances with other prey. But a predator and prey can never be friends. They can never live together. They can never trust each other. He pointed one long finger at the human delegation. Your species is classified as predator. Your eyes face forward. Your teeth can tear meat. Your bodies are designed for hunting. This means you can never form true bonds with prey species. You may trade with them. You may have treaties with them. But you will never understand them. And they will never understand you. Yuna listened carefully. She was starting to understand the problem. The Galactic Council had organized itself around this idea. Predator species sat on one side of the hall. Prey species sat on the other side. They worked together, but they did not mix. They did not socialize. They did not form friendships. This is strange, Junho muttered. On Earth, we do not think this way. I know, Yuna said softly, but we cannot interrupt. Not yet. Voss continued his lecture. He talked about the history of the Council. He talked about wars that had happened when predator and prey species had tried to live together. He talked about the Great Law, which kept the two groups separate for the good of everyone. In 10,000 years, Voss said proudly, we have maintained peace by respecting the natural order. Predators stay with predators. Prey stays with prey. This is the only way civilization can survive. The crowd agreed again. More clicking. More humming. More sounds that Yuna could not identify. Finally, Voss turned back to the humans. So, humans of Earth, before you can join this council, you must prove that you understand and accept this law. You must show us that you know your place in the natural order. You must agree to never form personal bonds with prey species. Can you do this? Yuna felt Junho tense beside her. She knew what he was thinking. She was thinking it too. Because they both knew something that the Galactic Council did not know. They knew that humans had been breaking this so-called law for thousands of years. They knew that humans did not follow the natural order. They knew that humans were different. But Yuna did not say any of this. Not yet. Instead, she simply smiled and said, Delegate Voss, I have a question. Voss tilted his head. You may ask. You say that predators never adopt prey. That they never form bonds. That they never become friends. Is that correct? That is correct. And you say this is a universal law? A law that no species has ever broken? In 10,000 years, no species has ever broken this law, Voss confirmed. It is simply not possible. Biology does not allow it. Yuna nodded slowly. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her personal tablet. She tapped the screen a few times until she found what she was looking for. I see, she said. Well, Delegate Voss, I think I need to show you something. But perhaps we should continue this conversation tomorrow. I want to make sure I explain it properly. Voss seemed confused by this request, but he agreed. Very well. We will resume tomorrow. This session is ended. As the aliens began to leave the hall, Junho moved closer to Yuna. What are you going to show them? Yuna smiled and turned her tablet so he could see the screen. On it was a photo of her younger brother, Taeho. He was sitting on his couch at home, and in his arms was a fat orange cat named Bori. The cat was purring. Taeho was smiling. They looked completely happy together. I am going to show them this, Yuna said. And I am going to ask them a very simple question. Junho looked at the photo. Then he looked at Yuna. Then he started to laugh. They are not going to understand, he said. I know, Yuna replied. That is exactly the point. That night, Yuna could not sleep. She lay in her bed in the human embassy, staring at the ceiling. The ceiling was not made of normal material. It was made of some kind of crystal that showed the stars outside. She could see 3 moons floating in the purple sky of this alien world. Junho knocked on her door. Ambassador? Come in, she said. Junho entered the room. He was still wearing his formal clothes from the council meeting. In his hands, he carried 2 cups of tea. Real earth tea that they had brought from home. "I thought you might need this," he said, handing her a cup. "Thank you." Yuna sat up and took a sip. The tea was warm and familiar. It reminded her of home. It reminded her of sitting with her family in their small apartment in Busan, watching the rain fall outside. "I have been doing research," Junho said. He sat down in a chair near her bed and opened his tablet. "I looked up everything I could find about this natural order law." "What did you learn?" "It is very old. The Council created it 8,000 years ago, after a series of terrible wars. Apparently, some predator species tried to enslave prey species, and some prey species tried to exterminate predators completely. Millions died." Yuna nodded. "So the law was created to keep the peace." "Yes, but the problem is that they did not just make it a political law. They made it a scientific fact. They truly believe that predators and prey cannot coexist. They have studies. They have data. They have 8,000 years of evidence." "Evidence of what?" Junho scrolled through his tablet. "Evidence that every time a predator and prey species tried to form personal bonds, it failed. The predator species eventually became violent, or the prey species became too afraid to function, every single time." Yuna thought about this. She thought about all the species in the Council, 300 different worlds, 300 different histories, and in all of that time, none of them had ever made friends across the predator-prey line. "That is very sad," she said. "It is," Junho agreed. "But it also means they are not going to believe us easily. When you show them that photo tomorrow, they are going to think it is fake, or they are going to think we are lying." "I know." Yuna finished her tea and set the cup aside. "That is why we need to be very careful about how we present this. We cannot just show them one photo. We need to show them our entire history. We need to show them that this is not unusual for humans. We need to show them that this is normal." Junho smiled. "I already started gathering materials. Photos, videos, historical documents. I have evidence going back thousands of years. Humans have been living with predators since before we could write." "Good." Yuna looked at the stars through her crystal ceiling. "Tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day." The next morning, the council gathered again. The Great Hall was even more crowded than before. Word had spread that the humans were going to say something important. Everyone wanted to see what would happen. Yuna stood in the center of the floor, just like yesterday. But today, she was not just listening. Today, she was going to speak. Delegate Voss called the session to order. He looked down at Yuna with those black, pupilless eyes. "Human ambassador. Yesterday, you said you wanted to show us something. You said you wanted to ask a question. We are ready to hear you." Yuna bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Delegate Voss. Before I show you what I have brought, I would like to ask you to explain the natural order law one more time. I want to make sure I understand it correctly." Voss seemed pleased by this request. He stood up taller and spoke in his most official voice. "The natural order law states that predator species and prey species are fundamentally different. They think differently. They feel differently. They cannot understand each other on a deep level. Because of this, they cannot form true bonds of friendship or family. A predator may protect a prey creature for practical reasons, such as using it for food later. But a predator can never love a prey creature. And a prey creature can never trust a predator." "I see," Yuna said. "And this applies to all predator species? Without exception?" "Without exception," Voss confirmed. "This is not a choice. This is biology. Evolution created predators to hunt and kill. That instinct can be controlled, but it can never be removed. Deep inside every predator, there is a killer. And deep inside every prey, there is fear. These two things can never be overcome." Yuna nodded slowly. "And what about domestication? What about keeping smaller creatures as companions?" The question confused Voss. I do not understand. Why would a predator keep a smaller creature as a companion? For friendship, for comfort, for love. The hall went silent. Then, slowly, a sound began to spread. It was laughter. Hundreds of different species, laughing in hundreds of different ways, clicking and chirping and rumbling and whistling. They were all laughing at Una. Voss raised his hand, and the laughter stopped. Human ambassador, I think you are confused. Predators do not keep companions. We have servants. We have workers. We have tools. But companions? Friends? That is something only prey species do. And only with other prey. Why is that? Because prey species are weak. They need each other for protection. They huddle together in groups because they are afraid. But predators are strong. We do not need anyone. We do not want anyone. We stand alone because that is what predators do. Una looked around the hall. She saw the predator species on one side, sitting tall and proud. She saw the prey species on the other side, huddled closer together. Neither group mixed with the other. Neither group seemed to want to mix. So let me make sure I understand, Una said. You are saying that no predator species has ever kept a smaller creature as a friend? Ever? Never. Voss said firmly. It goes against our nature. The very idea is disturbing. Why would we want to be close to something we could eat? Some of the predator delegates made sounds of agreement. They seemed uncomfortable even discussing this topic. Una took a deep breath. This was the moment she had been waiting for. Delegate Voss, with your permission, I would like to share some information about Earth, about human history, about how my species has lived for the past 15,000 years. You may proceed, Voss said. Una nodded to Junho. He pressed a button on his tablet, and the great holographic screen in the center of the room flickered to life. The first image appeared. It was a cave painting, over 15,000 years old. It showed human figures standing next to four-legged animals. The animals had pointed ears and long tails. They were clearly predators, but the humans were not running from them. The humans were standing with them. Together. These are wolves, Una said. They are predators. They hunt in packs. They have sharp teeth and strong jaws. On Earth, they are one of the most dangerous animals in the forest. She paused. 15,000 years ago, my ancestors started living with wolves. They fed them. They sheltered them. They raised their puppies as part of the family. Over time, the wolves changed. They became dogs. The image shifted. Now it showed photos of dogs, golden retrievers playing with children, German shepherds working with police officers, small pugs sitting on old people's laps. Today, there are over 400 million dogs living with humans on Earth. They are not servants. They are not workers. They are family. We love them. We protect them. We cry when they die. The hall was completely silent. No one was laughing now, Una continued. But dogs are not the only animals we have adopted. We also live with these. The screen changed again. This time, it showed cats. Fluffy cats. Skinny cats. Cats with flat faces and cats with long tails. Cats sleeping on beds. Cats playing with string. Cats sitting in windows, watching birds outside. Cats are also predators, Una explained. They hunt birds and mice and rabbits. They have claws that can cut skin. They have teeth designed for killing, and yet, we keep them in our homes. We let them sleep in our beds. We hold them in our arms and tell them we love them. She pulled out her personal tablet and held it up. On the screen was the photo of her brother Tejo and his cat Bori. This is my brother, Una said. He is a human, a predator. And this is his cat, also a predator. They live together. They sleep together. They love each other. She looked directly at Voss. So, Delegate Voss, you tell me that predators never form bonds with other creatures. You tell me this is a universal law that cannot be broken, but I am showing you proof that my species has been breaking this law for 15,000 years. She held the photo higher. Clarify this, please. Explain to me how this is possible, if your law is true. The hall remained silent. Voss stared at the image on Yuna's tablet. His black eyes showed no expression, but his 6 hands were trembling slightly. For the first time in 8,000 years, someone had challenged the natural order law, and they had done it with a picture of a cat. The silence in the great hall lasted for a very long time. Yuna counted the seconds in her head. 10, 20, 30. Still, no one spoke. The 300 species of the Galactic Council simply stared at the image on her tablet. Finally, Delegate Voss found his voice. This must be an error. A misunderstanding. Perhaps your translation device is broken. When you say this creature lives with your brother, you mean it is his food supply. Yes? He keeps it alive until he is ready to eat it? No, Yuna said calmly. I mean, he loves it. He takes care of it. He would never hurt it. But that is impossible. A new voice spoke. Yuna looked up and saw a delegate from another predator species. This one had dark fur and yellow eyes like a wolf. I am Delegate Mira from the Kasi. We are hunters. The greatest hunters in the galaxy. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that no hunter would ever waste resources on a small creature like that. It serves no purpose. Yuna smiled. What purpose does friendship serve? Mira looked confused. I do not understand the question. On Earth, we keep animals not because they are useful, but because they make us happy. When my brother comes home after a long day of work, his cat runs to the door to greet him. When he is sad, the cat sits on his lap and purrs. When he is sick, the cat stays by his side. The cat provides no food. It does no work. But it makes my brother's life better simply by existing. Mira shook her head. This is very strange behavior. On my world, we only keep creatures that serve a purpose. Guards, hunters, food sources. What you describe sounds like weakness. Maybe, Yuna said. Or maybe it sounds like love. The word hung in the air. Love. Such a simple word. Such a powerful word. Yuna watched as the delegates whispered to each other. She could not understand their languages, but she could see their faces. They were confused, disturbed. Some looked angry, some looked scared. A new delegate spoke. This one was from the prey side of the hall. It was a small creature with soft fur and large, frightened eyes. Its voice was quiet and trembling. Human ambassador, I am Delegate Suri from the Palais. We are prey. We have been prey for millions of years. I must ask you something, please, Yuna said. Ask. You say that humans keep predator animals in their homes, animals with teeth and claws, animals that could kill you if they wanted to. Yes. Are you not afraid? Yuna thought about this question. She thought about all the dogs and cats on Earth. She thought about the times when pets had bitten their owners. It happened sometimes. Animals were not perfect. They could be dangerous. But then, she thought about all the other times. The millions and millions of moments when humans and their pets had simply existed together in peace, sleeping, playing, sitting quietly side by side. Sometimes, Yuna admitted. Sometimes we are afraid. But fear does not stop love. If anything, love helps us overcome fear. Delegate Suri's large eyes grew even larger. I do not understand. How can you love something that might hurt you? Because the love is worth the risk. The hall erupted into noise again. This time, it was not laughter. It was chaos. Delegates were shouting at each other. Some were standing up from their seats. Some were pointing at Yuna with anger in their eyes. Voss raised all 6 of his hands and called for order. Slowly, the noise died down. Human ambassador, Voss said. His voice was strained. What you are describing goes against everything we know about the universe. You are telling us that your species has formed emotional bonds with predators, that you have brought them into your homes, that you have treated them as family members. That is correct. And you are telling us that this has worked? That these predator animals have not killed you? Most of the time, yes. We have lived together successfully for 15,000 years. Voss shook his head slowly. This should not be possible. Our scientists have studied this for thousands of years. The predator instinct cannot be overcome. It can be suppressed, but it always returns. Eventually, the predator always attacks. Junho stepped forward. May I speak, Ambassador? Yuna nodded. Please. Junho addressed the council. Honored delegates, I think I can explain what is happening here. You are looking at humans and seeing a normal predator species. But we are not normal. We are very, very strange. He pulled up more images on the holographic screen. Photos of humans with animals. All kinds of animals. Humans do not just keep cats and dogs. We keep birds. We keep fish. We keep reptiles and insects and creatures that most species would consider food. We even keep animals that could easily kill us. The screen showed a photo of a woman with a large snake wrapped around her shoulders. Then a man swimming with sharks. Then a child hand-feeding a wild deer. On Earth, we have a saying, Junho continued. If it exists, a human has probably tried to befriend it. We cannot help ourselves. We see a creature, and we want to know it. We want to understand it. We want to love it. Delegate Mira stood up again. But why? What is the evolutionary purpose? What advantage does this give you? Junho smiled. I do not know if there is an advantage. Maybe we are just broken. Maybe our predator instincts are defective. Or maybe we evolved a new instinct. An instinct to connect. An instinct to care. An instinct to love things that are different from us. The hall went quiet again. Yuna could see the delegates thinking. Processing. Trying to understand. Voss spoke slowly. You are telling us that human beings have overcome the barrier between predator and prey. That you have found a way to live peacefully with creatures that should be your enemies. Not just live peacefully, Yuna said. Love them. Truly love them. My brother would die to protect his cat. I have seen humans jump into burning buildings to save their dogs. I have seen old women spend their entire life savings on medical care for sick pets. This is not just tolerance. This is love. But how? Voss demanded. How is this possible? Yuna thought for a moment. Then she said something that would change the Galactic Council forever. Because we choose to. Because we decided, thousands of years ago, that the natural order was not good enough. We looked at the world we were born into, and we said, we can do better. We saw predators and prey fighting and dying, and we said, there must be another way. And then, we found that way. We created it ourselves. She looked around the hall at all the different species. Predators and prey. Hunters and hunted. All of them separated by a law that had existed for 8,000 years. You have spent 8,000 years accepting the natural order, Yuna said. You have built your entire civilization around the idea that predators and prey cannot coexist. But what if you are wrong? What if the natural order is not a law, but just a habit? What if you could choose to be different? The delegates stared at her. Some looked angry. Some looked scared. But some, just a few, looked hopeful. Delegate Suri, the small prey creature with the large eyes, raised her hand. Human ambassador, are you saying that humans would form bonds with prey species too? Species like mine? Yuna smiled warmly. Delegate Suri, we already do. On Earth, we keep sheep and goats and rabbits and guinea pigs. We love them just as much as we love our cats and dogs. To us, it does not matter if a creature is predator or prey. What matters is whether they want to be loved. She pulled up one more photo. It showed a little girl hugging a fluffy white rabbit. Both of them looked completely happy. Do you want to be loved, Delegate Suri? Suri's large eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak, but no words came out. Instead, she just nodded. Yuna felt her own eyes grow wet. Then perhaps we can be friends. The hall fell silent once more. But this time, the silence was different. It was not confusion or anger. It was something else. Something new. It was the sound of 300 species imagining a different future. After the session ended, chaos spread through the council station. Delegates gathered in groups, talking loudly in their own languages. Scientists rushed to their laboratories to review the data. Historians searched their archives for anything that might explain what the humans had shown them. Yuna and Junho returned to the human embassy. They were exhausted, but they could not rest. Their communication device was ringing constantly. Messages from Earth. Messages from council delegates. Messages from reporters who wanted to interview them. "This is bigger than we expected," Junho said, scrolling through the messages. "Everyone is talking about us. Some species think we are lying. Some think we are dangerous. And some..." He paused. "Some want to know more." "Which species want to know more?" Junho checked the list. "Mostly prey species. Delegate Suri from the Palais has requested a private meeting. So has a group called the Fenori. And there is a message here from a species I do not recognize. They call themselves the Koban." Yuna sat down heavily in a chair. "What about the predator species?" Junho's face grew serious. "That is the problem. Most of them are angry. They see our behavior as weakness. Some of them are saying that humans should not be allowed in the council at all. They think we will disrupt the natural order." "We already have," Yuna said quietly. A knock came at the door. Junho opened it and found a council messenger standing outside. It was a small robot, floating on tiny engines. "Ambassador Yuna," the robot said in a mechanical voice. "You have been summoned to a private meeting with Delegate Voss. He wishes to speak with you alone." Yuna looked at Junho. He shook his head. "I do not think this is a good idea. Voss is one of the oldest predator delegates. His species has been in the council for 6,000 years. He has a lot of power." "I know," Yuna said, "but I cannot refuse. That would look weak." She stood up and straightened her clothes. "Wait here. If I do not return in 2 hours, contact Earth." "Understood." Junho's voice was worried, but he did not try to stop her. Yuna followed the robot through the station. They walked through long hallways, filled with strange art and stranger creatures. Finally, they arrived at a private room. The door opened, and Yuna stepped inside. Voss was waiting for her. He sat in a large chair that fit his 6-armed body perfectly. On a small table beside him sat a glass of some dark liquid. He did not offer Yuna a seat. "Human ambassador," Voss said. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me, Delegate Voss." Yuna stood straight and kept her voice calm. Voss studied her with his black eyes. "I have lived for 300 years. In that time, I have seen many species try to join the council. Some were accepted. Some were rejected. But I have never seen a species like yours. Is that a compliment?" "It is a fact." Voss took a sip of his drink. "Your presentation today has caused problems. Serious problems. The council is divided. Predator species think you are weak. Prey species think you might be different. Both groups are scared of what this means." Yuna nodded. "I understand. Change is always frightening. Change is not always good," Voss countered. "The natural order law has kept the peace for 8,000 years. It works. It may not be perfect, but it works. Species know their place. Species know what to expect. There is stability. There is also loneliness," Yuna said softly. Voss paused. For a moment, something flickered in his black eyes. Something that might have been surprise. Or might have been recognition. "What do you mean?" Yuna chose her words carefully. "Delegate Voss, I have been watching the council since I arrived. I have seen how predator and prey species interact. They trade with each other. They sign treaties. They attend meetings together. But they do not touch. They do not laugh together. They do not sit together at meals. They exist in the same space, but they are completely alone. Voss said nothing. He just stared at her. On Earth, Yuna continued, we believe that connection is the most important thing in the universe. Not power. Not resources. Not even survival. Connection. The feeling of being known by another creature. The feeling of being loved. And you think this connection is possible between predator and prey? I know it is. I have lived it. My brother lives it every day with his cat. Billions of humans live it with their pets. She took a step closer. Delegate Voss, have you ever loved anything? The question hung in the air. Voss did not move. He did not speak. His 6 hands rested quietly on the arms of his chair. Finally, he said, I had a child once. A son. He died in an accident 200 years ago. Yuna felt her heart break. I am sorry. The pain has never gone away. Some days, I forget about it. But then, something reminds me. And it returns. Sharp as ever. Voss looked down at his drink. Is this what love feels like? This endless pain? Love includes pain. Yuna admitted. When you love something, you give it power over you. Power to hurt you. Power to leave you. But love also includes joy. And comfort. And the feeling that you are not alone in the universe. Voss was silent for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Softer. More honest. I have been alone for 200 years. Since my son died, I have not let anyone close to me. I thought this was strength. I thought this was what a predator should do. He looked at Yuna. But now I am wondering if I was wrong. Yuna walked forward until she was standing right in front of him. Slowly, carefully, she reached out her hand. Delegate Voss, I cannot bring your son back. I cannot take away your pain. But I can offer you something else. I can offer you friendship. Voss stared at her hand. On his world, touching someone from another species was unthinkable. It went against everything he had been taught, everything he believed. But he was 300 years old. He had followed the rules his entire life. And where had it gotten him? Alone in a room, talking to a creature from a world he had never heard of. Maybe it was time to try something new. Slowly, carefully, Voss extended one of his 6 hands. His gray fingers wrapped around Yuna's small human hand. Your hand is warm, he said quietly. Yours is cool, she replied, but not unpleasant. They stood there for a moment, predator and predator, hand in hand. It was a small gesture. But it meant everything. I cannot promise anything, Voss said. The council will not change overnight. Many delegates will never accept your way of thinking. But I. He paused. I am willing to learn more. That is all I ask, Yuna said. Voss released her hand and sat back in his chair. You should return to your embassy. Tomorrow, the council will vote on whether to continue your membership application. I cannot guarantee the result, but I will speak in your favor. Thank you, Delegate Voss. Do not thank me yet. The hard work is just beginning. Yuna nodded and turned to leave. At the door, she stopped and looked back. Delegate Voss? What was your son's name? Voss's black eyes grew wet. Torin. His name was Torin. Torin, Yuna repeated softly. I will remember him. She left the room and walked back to the embassy. In her hand, she could still feel the coolness of Voss's touch. It was strange and unfamiliar. But it was also real. For the first time since arriving at the council, Yuna felt hope. Maybe the galaxy could change after all. The day of the vote arrived. The great hall was fuller than ever before. Every seat was taken. Creatures stood in the aisles and floated near the ceiling. News drones from across the galaxy hovered overhead, recording everything. Yuna stood in the center of the floor with Junho at her side. She had not slept the night before. Her stomach was tight with nervousness, but her face showed nothing. Only calm. only patience. Delegate Voss called the session to order. He looked tired too. The conversation they had shared had affected him deeply. Una could see it in the way he moved. Slower, more careful, as if he was carrying something heavy. Today, Voss announced, the Council will vote on humanity's application for membership. Before we vote, any delegate may speak. The floor is open. For a moment, no one moved. Then a figure rose from the predator side of the hall. It was Delegate Mira, the wolf-like hunter who had challenged Una before. I will speak, Mira said. Her yellow eyes blazed with anger. I have listened to the humans for 2 days now. I have heard their stories about living with cats and dogs. I have seen their photos of children hugging rabbits, and I am disgusted. The predator section of the hall rumbled with agreement. The humans call their behavior love, Mira continued. But I call it weakness. A true predator does not need companionship. A true predator stands alone, strong, proud, independent. What the humans have shown us is not evolution, it is degradation. They have become soft, pathetic. They have lost what makes a predator great. Mira pointed at Una. If we allow this species into our council, they will infect us with their weakness. They will teach our young that it is acceptable to be soft. They will destroy everything we have built. I vote no, and I encourage every predator species to vote no as well. She sat down. The predator section erupted in sounds of support. Clicking, growling, howling. They agreed with Mira. They wanted the humans gone. Una felt Junho tense beside her. This is not going well, he whispered. Wait, Una said. It is not over yet. Another figure rose. This one came from the prey side of the hall. It was Delegate Suri, the small creature with the large eyes. Her voice was quiet. But in the silence that followed Mira's speech, everyone could hear her. I will speak, Suri said. The hall went still. Prey species rarely spoke in council sessions. They were too scared, too cautious. For Suri to stand up took incredible courage. I have been prey my entire life, Suri said. My species has been prey for 60 million years. We know what it means to be hunted. We know what it means to be afraid. Every day, we wake up knowing that somewhere in the galaxy, a predator is looking for us, wanting to hurt us, wanting to eat us. She paused and looked at Una. But when I look at the humans, I do not see hunters. I see something else. Something I have never seen before. Her voice grew stronger. I see creatures who choose to be kind, who choose to be gentle, who have every instinct to kill, but decide instead to love. Suri turned to face the predator section. Delegate Mira, you call the humans weak, but I think you are wrong. I think it takes more strength to love than to kill. I think it takes more courage to be gentle than to be cruel. The humans have not lost what makes a predator great. They have found something greater. She turned back to the full council. My species has been afraid of predators for 60 million years. But today, for the first time, I am not afraid of the humans. I hopeful. I hope that they can teach us a new way. I hope that someday, predator and prey can sit together without fear. I hope that we can learn to love each other. Suri's voice broke slightly. I vote yes. And I ask every prey species to consider doing the same. Maybe it is time to stop being afraid. Maybe it is time to try something new. She sat down. The prey section of the hall was silent. Then, slowly, sounds began to emerge. Soft sounds. Hopeful sounds. Sounds of creatures who had lived in fear their whole lives, suddenly imagining a different future. More delegates stood to speak. Some argued against the humans. Some argued for them. The debate went on for hours. Una listened to every word. She watched every face. She tried to read the mood of the room. Finally, Voss raised his hands for silence. We have heard enough arguments. It is time to vote. Each species will now cast their decision. Yes, for accepting humanity. No for rejection. The vote begins now. Lights appeared on the great screen. Each light represented one species. Red for no. Green for yes. The predator side lit up first. Most of them were red. Mira's vote was bright red. Her allies followed her lead. The hunters, the killers, the proud and independent, they all said no. But then Yuna saw something surprising. A few predator lights turned green. Not many, but some. Species who had listened to Suri. Species who had seen Voss hold her hand. Species who were willing to try something new. The prey side voted next. More green lights appeared. Many more. Suri's speech had moved them. They were still scared. But they were also hopeful. And hope, it seemed, was stronger than fear. The vote continued. Species after species cast their decisions. The screen filled with lights. Red and green, mixed together like stars in the night sky. When the last vote was cast, Voss stood up. His face was unreadable. The votes have been counted, he announced. The result is, he paused, 172 votes for yes, 128 votes for no. Yuna felt her heart stop. Humanity is accepted into the Galactic Council. The hall exploded. Some species cheered. Some screamed in anger. Some simply sat in stunned silence. Junho grabbed Yuna's arm, his face bright with joy. "We did it," he said. "We actually did it." Yuna could not speak. Her eyes were full of tears. Not just happy tears, proud tears, hopeful tears. She looked up at the great screen, at all those green lights shining in the darkness. Each light was a species that had chosen to believe. Each light was a step toward a new future. Each light was proof that the natural order could be changed. Voss's voice cut through the noise. Humanity is now a full member of this council. But our work is not finished. The natural order law is now in question. We must decide what to do about it. This will require time, discussion, perhaps many years of debate. He looked at Yuna. But today, we have taken the first step. Today, a predator species has shown us that love is possible across all boundaries. Today, we have learned that maybe, just maybe, we have been wrong about the universe. Yuna finally found her voice. "Thank you, Delegate Voss. Thank you all. On behalf of humanity, I promise that we will work hard to earn your trust. We will show you that our way of living is not weakness, but strength. And we hope that someday, every species in this hall can experience what we experience when we hold our cats and dogs. The feeling of unconditional love. The feeling of being home." She reached into her pocket and pulled out her tablet one more time. On the screen was still the photo of her brother Tejo and his cat Bori. She held it up for everyone to see. "This is what we are fighting for," she said. "Not power, not resources, not territory. Just this. A boy and his cat. A moment of peace. A lifetime of love." The hall fell silent again. But this time, it was a good silence. A thoughtful silence. A silence full of possibility. Somewhere in the prey section, Delegate Suri started making a soft sound. It was like humming, but higher, more musical. Other prey species joined in. Then, surprisingly, a few predator species began making sounds too. Different sounds, but somehow, they all fit together. Yuna realized what was happening. They were singing. In their own ways, with their own voices, 300 species were singing together. It was the most beautiful sound she had ever heard. Junho leaned close to her ear. "What do we do now, Ambassador?" Yuna smiled and wiped the tears from her eyes. "Now," she said, "we teach them about belly rubs, and somewhere across the galaxy, back on Earth, a fat orange cat named Bori looked up from his nap and purred, as if he knew, somehow, that everything was going to be all right.